We here at thiccmaninc do not believe in science, and we are back yet again for the NFL's Week 11 to give you our 100% accurate predictions. As always, a Thursday night game will have been played by the time this video is published, but we are still going to predict it because we have not seen it happen in person. It's Thursday afternoon. I'm a little bit drunk, Tristan's stone sober, but high on life, and here we are to give you the predictions. On to the games. And first off, we've got the Tennessee Titans facing off against the Green Bay Packers. And Derrick Henry has yet again found himself playing the role of the Titans savior, the only driving force behind their offense. Their passing game is putrid. On the other side, we've got Aaron Rodgers, who's about to find himself playing the role of the victim as he has to face the Titans' elite pass rush and will struggle greatly to keep up with the Titans' offense. This game is pretty self-explanatory. Rodgers claims the Packers aren't dead. Guess what? They're dead after this week. The Titans are going to go to Lambeau Field. They're going to run rampant on them. Aaron Rodgers' defenders will weep many bitter tears as the weather turns cold and complain, "Oh no, it's outside and cold. Aaron can't be expected to pass the ball." Get over it. He is not going to have a good night. The weather will throw him off, and Derrick Henry will run rampant upon the Packers' defense. I'm giving this one to the Titans in a relatively easy victory.
I don't know if it'll be an easy victory, and I have been low on the Titans all season long, and at the end of the day, when it comes to the playoffs, I don't think they're going to stand much of a chance against the other juggernauts that are in the AFC because they play in the worst division in football, and that will be the eventual only reason they make the playoffs. With that being said, the Packers match up horribly with the Titans. Last week versus the Cowboys, the only reason they really won that game is because they ran for over 200 yards of offense. That is a very productive game from your running backs, and this week they're playing the Titans, who have the second best rushing defense in the NFL, only giving up 86 yards rushing a game. And when it comes to Aaron Rodgers versus the Cowboys, he's 7-2 against them in his career and is Jerry Jones's boogeyman at this point. The Titans are a different animal, have a significantly better run defense, have a pretty good pass rush. So when they wipe the Packers running game off the face of the earth, and the Packers will have to solely rely on their passing attack, and Christian Watson is not there yet completely. He did have a breakout game, but I don't think he's going to repeat that versus the Titans. The Titans should get the victory because it's just a bad matchup for the Packers.
It will truly be a great night in America when Aaron Rodgers sees his hopes and dreams dashed and shattered yet again. On to Sunday. And thankfully this week we do not have a London game. All our games are being played in the United States of America, the best country in the world. Now, on to two of the worst football teams in the world. The Chicago Bears will face off against the Atlanta Falcons in the ATL. And the Bears may have caught a little bit of lightning in a bottle, or at least Justin Fields got some lightning in a bottle. But at the end of the day, they're not better than the Falcons. Their defense is worse, their offensive line's worse, their skill players are comparable, but at the end of the day, that will not matter. Because when it comes to passing the football, Marcus Mariota has a slight edge over the young Justin Fields at the moment. I know Fields has been going on a great run, having phenomenal rushing attacks. I will not take anything away from his running game. He resembles a younger Lamar Jackson. It is sensational. Multiple 2-touchdown games, 100 yards rushing. Next level. During this little 4-game stretch, he has not thrown for 200 passing yards. He has thrown passing touchdowns. He has thrown interceptions. He has not been able to consistently put it together in the air. I think that this Falcons defense has a weakness, which obviously it's got a few, but with the exception of AJ Terrell, their passing defense is lackluster in my opinion. Now, if a team like, say, the Bills were playing, I would say, easy victory for the Bills. They can actually target it with a passing attack. But the Bears, no. They're not going to be able to get after it with a passing attack. Their run defense, I've watched games. I don't care what the numbers say. It's functional. And functional is really all you need to stop the Bears' offense. I'm giving this one to the home team, the Falcons.
That was a very horrible take that ignores a few key components to the Bears and a key components to this matchup. Both these teams want to do the same thing offensively. The Falcons have the second most rushing attempts in the NFL. The Bears have the most rushing attempts in the NFL. But when you compare both of them, the Falcons are only averaging 4.9 yards a carry. The Bears, on the other hand, are averaging 5.6 yards a carry, which would be the single greatest yards per carry for a team in NFL history. They are one of the most prolific rushing attacks in NFL history. They're averaging over 200 yards a game, and over the last 3 games, they've put up 29, 32, and 30 points. Whatever the Falcons do on offense, you could talk about the talent, you could talk about the different names they have. The Bears do better. They're much better at running the ball. The Falcons, that's what they want to do. I think they're the 4th best rushing offense in the NFL, but there's an over 40-yard difference between second place and the Bears. So the Bears are one of the best rushing teams in NFL history. Justin Fields is emerging. Chase Claypool Claypool is going to continue to get more integrated into the Bears offense, and they do everything better offensively. You talked about the Falcons being slightly better passing. They're the third worst passing offense in the NFL. So when the Bears are as good as they are at running the football, it starts to not matter how good they are at throwing the football. I expect the Bears to win this game, and now after all I just said, you may think I think it's going to be a blowout. That's not the case because the Bears offense is putrid. Like I said, they've scored basically 30 plus points in all of their last 3 games and lost all 3 of those games. So I think the Bears win this one.
I believe you meant to say defense
35 to 31. The Bears have the better offense, and neither team's defense is great. Bears probably worse though.
I believe you meant to say their defense is putrid, which is indeed quite true.
The Bears defense, yes.
Justin Fields is a phenomenal runner of the football. Their running back situation isn't good. The Bills also have a better running back situation than the Chicago Bears. This rushing attack is all Justin Fields.
What?
And look, I think Justin Fields is a phenomenal stretch, but it's not going to continue forever. The wheels are eventually going to start falling off, whether that be to a stylistic change in an attempt to preserve the body a smidge more, whether that be the defense is actually getting a little bit of film on. 4 games where this little run might be enough to hinder him, just a twinge. I don't see it continuing further. I picked this week for it to fall off. It may continue. He may have another 100-yard rushing game. He may have another 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. If so, good for him. The Bears will probably win, but I don't think that's going to keep going on forever. I'm just saying it ends this.
You need to stop drinking the haterade. It's ridiculous hate at this point. I know you're a Michigan fan and don't like Ohio State quarterbacks and are a Vikings fan and don't want to see the Bears be successful, but Justin Fields is him.
Tristan,
you need to come to terms
I don't
with it.
think about the Bears as a Vikings fan. I haven't thought about the Bears in half a decade. I am unconcerned with the affairs of Chicago-based sports teams. I take that back. The Bulls are fairly interesting to watch from time to time. Anyway, on to a real sporting city, that being Baltimore, who host the phenomenal Ravens and the Orioles, who have a very nice baseball stadium, who will be playing host to the Carolina Panthers. And this game doesn't require some deep analysis to predict. The Ravens are going to run all over. We talk about the Bears' rushing attack. I'd say the Ravens have been comparable at points this year. Their passing game's better. Their offense all around the board has been good, particularly their tight end to quarterback connection. And they're just going to run rampant on the Panthers. The Panthers are tanking. They are suffering for Stroud. They are blowing for Bryce. And they are trying to replace the awful quarterback situation they find themselves in.
Well,
efforts to do that will continue. The Panthers will not win this game. Easy Ravens victory.
I mean, the Panthers are a better team with Donta Foreman because Christian McCaffrey just was not working for them. The Donta Foreman has more 100-yard games for the Panthers this season than Christian McCaffrey had, which is a weird thing to think because McCaffrey's been doing very well on the 49ers. And now when it comes to this game, like Isaiah said, there's not much we really need to speak about. Mark Andrews is back healthy. Kenyon Drake seems to be emerging as a solid back in their backfield with injuries they suffered to Edwards and Dobbins. It should be an easy win for the Ravens. Now, I don't think the point spread is going to be that crazy because the Ravens haven't really blown anyone out this season. And in their 3 losses, the largest margin of loss was 4 points. So I think it's going to be, like a 10-point victory, but also easy win for the Ravens, if that makes any sense.
If there's the game they can blow somebody out, it's the Panthers. This one could get away from Carolina very quickly. The one thing which might save them is Lamar will probably stop running after the first half. On to the Buffalo. And I've seen a few interesting stats about this game. There's not going to be a blowout of any sort or capacity in this one because there's supposed to be about 6 foot of snow on the ground. And while Nick Chubb might only be 5'11", I still think he'll be able to make the Browns' run game a scary, scary thing to deal with in such weather conditions. On their end, you've got the Bills with Josh Allen. Granted, his UCL's jacked up, but that's not going to take anything away from his ability to run. Quite the opposite, he was still slinging his body around last week against the Vikings. I'll have a lot to say about that game later on when we discuss the Vikings. But overall, I'm going to give this one to the Browns because their team is built a little bit better for the snow. There's going to be weather conditions. The passing game is not going to be as big a factor. And while I think Diggs could conceivably perform at a very high level in the snow, I don't think it will be enough to revitalize, reamp, get the Bills' passing game online. If the Bills' passing game isn't online and Josh Allen is even slightly not firing at all cylinders, the Bills aren't going to do well. So the Browns get this one, put themselves in a great position for Deshaun Watson's imminent return.
There's a chance the game moves to Detroit because of how much snow there is going to be in Buffalo, and I think we both agree that the Bills will probably win if they're playing in a game not affected by weather. But when it comes down to a weather-affected game, the Bills are not built to beat the Browns in weather. Josh Allen, a majority of his rushing yards come when he's scrambling around, extending plays, runs up the middle of the field when there's no receivers open. That's where he gets a majority of his rushing yards. It's not a lot of designed quarterback runs like we may see with Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields and some of the other quarterbacks that have a lot of rushing production. And their running backs are not great at all. They're only averaging 4.6 yards a carry. 4.5 yards a carry across the running backs, and they don't even attempt to run the ball. They have the 8th fewest rushing attempts in the NFL versus the Browns, who have Nick Chubb, who's averaging 5.7 yards a carry this season, and they're built to win on the ground. So if they play in Buffalo, we both agree the Browns are going to win. And if they play in Detroit, I think you can answer this, as I said earlier. I think we both agree the Bills will probably win.
I'm inclined to give it to the Bills. They're also an interesting point where it might be worth to let Josh Allen rest a little bit and let him recover. Send old Case Keenum in to take on the Browns if it's at a neutral site, because the arm does not look good. It's concerning how many red zone interceptions and bad reads. I think some of that's mental, but I also think some of that is due to soreness in the arm, causing a bit of a change in the throwing motion, leading him to regress to his earlier career moments, which saw many, many terrible interceptions. Speaking of terrible interceptions, Taylor Heinicke and Davis Mills face off in Houston this week in a pivotal game for the Washington Commanders and a meaningless game for the Texans. The Texans are trying to get the first overall pick. They're in a race for it with the Panthers. The Commanders football team, whatever you want to call them, they might be able to get into the wild card. They're in a weird spot. They just beat the Eagles. Heinicke appears to be giving them a twinge of life, and now they have to decide, do we really want to sell in the season, or do we want to go full steam ahead and try and get this wild playoff spot? Personally, I don't think Taylor Heinicke does well as a regular season quarterback. He has his moments, he's fairly clutch, he picks his spots well, but if he has to be your week in and week out guy, which it looks like he's going to be, I have no faith whatsoever in Taylor Heinicke. I'd have more faith in Wentz, if we're being brutally honest. But they're playing the Texans. It doesn't matter. The Texans' defense is awful. Their offense, with the exception of their star running backs, awful. Their coaching situation is unfortunate given Lovie Smith's experience and skill, but the roster, it's just a bad look. So I gotta give this one to the Commanders, but this game, ugh.
The Texans have solidified themselves as by far the worst team in the NFL, and it was absolutely insulting at the start of the season that Isaiah would even compare them to the 2021 Lions. That was a rough take, to say the least. And the only functional piece, like Isaiah just said, of their offense is their running back. Dameon Pierce is the only thing they have going for him, because Brandon Cooks also doesn't want to play for this dumpster fire and pathetic organization. They don't have a chance at beating the Commanders, who are now 3-1 with Heinicke as a starter. I would say that shows Heinicke's capable of starting over a long period of time. He's been the starter for a month now, well above 500, just beat one of the best teams in the NFL. And with Taylor Heinicke at the helm, the Commanders, you said, may go to the playoffs. They may win a Super Bowl with Taylor Heinicke. That's how good they are and how galvanized that locker room is when he's behind center.
So is that like your vocab word of the day on your little calendar? Oop, galvanized. Gotta use that one in the podcast. Well, don't start disrespecting the Texans. They've been in a tie. They've been in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 one-score games this year. They're losing close. They're not getting the doors blown off consistently. They're comparable to that Lions team. They can't finish games whatsoever. C'est la vie. But, hey, I got nothing more to say, really. The Texans are not good right now, and they're not going to be good until some new draft picks show up. On to Indianapolis, where we see the Eagles, who were recently humbled by the aforementioned Commanders football team, whatever you want to call them, in a dynamic Monday night game, which made me, as a Vikings fan, very happy. And it'd be easy to say, oh, they're losing 2 in a row. Oh, Jeff Saturday is him. He's that guy. He's that coach. It doesn't matter if you're a high school football coach. If you can get the locker room behind you, you can win in the NFL. And there is some truth to that. I think the X's and O's do not matter a tremendous amount for 80% of NFL coaches. But I don't think Saturday's got this one. And the Eagles are just a better team. They're better at pretty much every position besides running back. And look, they may have been defeated. They may have been humbled. They're still not a bad football team. They're still going to win 10, 12 games, somewhere in that range. It would be surprising if they were not the 1 or the 2 seed. And that will be put on full display on the road against the Colts. This one's an easy Eagles win.
Yeah, I agree fully with your analysis of how this game is going to go. The Eagles, they're just some things that went wrong, and they just played bad versus the Commanders last week. If Quez Watkins doesn't have that horrible fumble, I guarantee they punch it in, gain momentum, win that game. If that missed face mask call doesn't happen, they have the ball back there. If they don't allow the Commanders to have 40 minutes of possession, the game probably goes a lot differently. And they're playing the Colts, who are not good. Jeff Saturday, great win from last week, but he's also playing the Raiders, who are even bigger mess when it comes to their coaching situation. Josh McDaniels doesn't know how to win football games as a head coach. So this game, I think the Eagles are going to rebound off the loss. They probably learned a lot, and they're going to win this game against a significantly worse Colts roster.
They probably learned a lot. That is such a patronizing way. That's like what a coach says after his Little League team loses by 32 in a baseball game. Well, they probably learned a lot from that. Got some humility in them. Jesus Christ. The words you are choosing to put together today are making my life better, so thank you. Also, when do you give Jeff Saturday his apology?
He's not getting
what
an
does
apology.
he have to do to get you to eat your words? So if he wins out and takes his Colts team to the playoffs,
then he can get an apology.
If he gets like 7 or 8 wins, I think that should be enough to elicit an apology.
I mean, if he's able to get to that point, but you know, I have another coach to attack later on in this podcast. That's one of your fans.
Yeah, there are a few other coaches who have a few things which could be said about them. On to New England, and who would have thought both these teams at this point in the year would be in the playoffs? The Jets are facing off against the Patriots, and there are a lot of things you can say about the Jets. Words to define them. The word I like using is scrappy. This team should be gone and dead and buried. They have lost countless offensive and defensive pieces throughout the year, most notably Becton, most notably Hall, and they're not slowing down. They slowed down 1 week against the Patriots last time because Bill Belichick's an amazing schemer and because they just lost their star running back. They reloaded with James Robinson. They're back to winning. They beat the Buffalo Bills. Triple B right there. Big baller brand right there. And I think they might beat the Patriots in a dynamic matchup this week. This is my game of the week. This is the one I want to watch the most. I would like to see if this Jets team is legit. This is their opportunity to prove themselves and prove to everyone else that, hey, we're not just an early season wonder. We're not going to peter out. We are going to keep going all the way through the playoffs, and we're going to make a run winning this division. This is their opportunity to say that. I think they do get to say that. I have little faith in Belichick. I don't think Saleh is going to get punked 2 games in a row against the Patriots, and I'm starting to believe, Zach Wilson, we don't need to talk about him. Limited quarterback, probably pretty comparable to whatever the Patriots got in their sideline. We don't even need to mention the Mac Jones-Zappy situation. That's a bigger mess in New York. Say what you will about Wilson. Say what you want about Flacco. He's not getting benched for his backup. I'm going with the Jets on this one. JATS, the best team in New Jersey this year.
Well, I am not excited at all to watch this matchup because it's basically a mid-off. Both teams are not that good. Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are 2 of the most unimpressive quarterbacks in the NFL because both these teams win the game from running the ball. The game is going to come down to who runs the ball better and who plays better defense. And I think the Jets, they have the much more solid defense, definitely have much more talent than the Patriots do on the defensive side of the ball, and their offense is good enough to get the job done. Like you alluded to at the beginning of your little monologue. The Jets, when their only loss...
don't patronize me and start talking about my monologues with your littles in front of them. Get out of here, man. Go get your word of the day calendar and come up with something better than that.
Your little monologue that you just went on, your little rant, whatever word you want to describe what was just said. The only reason I feel like the Jets beat the Patriots, or the Patriots beat the Jets last time they played, was because they were fresh off the loss of Breece Hall, who was the best player on their team, the engine that made their offense go. That is hard to come off of and win the very next week. So they built off of that. They just beat the Bills, one of the best teams, one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. So they have much more momentum this season and many more, I think, impressive wins, if that's the right word, than the Patriots do. So I think the Jets are going to win this one.
Now, I will say the Patriots have one advantage, one thing going for them, which I think we should both mention. I don't think you allude to it at all. The Patriots don't have a good receiver that Sauce Gardner can make succumb to the sauce this week. There is no one truly worth locking down. Unless you get a guard, Devontae Parker or Jacoby Myers. That's the one limitation. Sauce Gardner can't go headhunt someone, and he can't play zone defense. He can't not allow a touchdown. If you take away the Patriots receivers, their offense remains virtually identical. But hey, and by the way, Sauce is their best player this year. I love Breece Hall. He played great. It's very encouraging for the Jets. Both their 2 best players are so young and so good, but Sauce is the best player on that team. Let's not get things twisted at all. On to New Orleans. And we see a disappointing Saints team taking on disappointing 3 disappointings Los Angeles Rams team. And while Sean McVay banters about, I'll probably retire once all my good players leave, yada yada yada, this game's a mess. This organization's a mess. It's such an LA thing to do. Oh, we won the Super Bowl. We've achieved our moment. Now we're going to sit by the pool. We're going to get fat. We're not going to have shoulder surgery in the offseason when we need it. We're going to post on Instagram and banner about retiring. And it's just a joke. Aaron Donald has not played up to his normal levels of of greatness this year. Not by a wide margin. He's not the best player in football. He's not the best defensive player in football anymore. He needs to go out there and revitalize how he proved it again. Trade with some real knives, those little fake butter ones he's been posting on Instagram. Stafford looks horrible. His arm's a hose. The only reason Cooper Kupp is putting up big numbers is because he gets 18 targets a game. If I got 18 targets a game, I'd have at least 3 receptions. And that's to say a lot about the level of production which comes with that targeting rate. It's a travesty what's going on over there. Ramsey's getting burnt. He's a piece of toast every play. He's giving his old buddy Eli Apple a run for his money. It's pathetic. All their stars are failing to achieve. I'll leave Higbee alone right now, but I could circle back and hit him a few more times. But no. Conversely, the Saints are horrible, full rebuilt Andy Dalton. I'm not watching this game. I'm not predicting this game. I am flipping a coin. Heads if it's the Saints, tails if it's the Rams. Alright, so the Rams are going to win after all that bad stuff I just said about them. I don't know how it's going to happen. Andy Dalton's probably going to get sacked 3 times in the end zone by someone not named Aaron Donald for 6 points worth of safeties. And we're just going to move on to next week.
Well, that's my favorite rant I think you've had, and every single week we've done these predictions. That was very well worded, very eloquent, and very to the point. The Rams...
Eloquent, that's another word of the day.
I'm just fitting them all in today. But I think that what this game comes down to is all you need to know is that Cooper Kupp's not playing. He may not play for the rest of the season, and he was the only functional piece on the Rams offense. There is no way I see this Rams offense even scoring points without Cooper Kupp. The receivers, horrible. Running back, whether it's Darrell Henderson or Cam Akers, neither one is capable of truly being the number one back that fuels an offense. They don't have a lead back. And that's what it comes down to. The Saints, on the other hand, they have Chris Olave, very good receiver in his rookie season. Alvin Kamara, top 5 running back in the NFL when he's producing at his ceiling. Jarvis Landry, still a very solid receiver in the NFL. So the Saints, they have the better offense. The Rams offense is horrible, probably the worst in the NFL. The Rams defense still has been, okay. But when your offense is that bad, it's hard to win football games.
Indeed it is. And as a Giants fan, you should know a lot about tough offenses. Because really, there's one man dragging that offense and that team kicking and screaming to irrelevance, and it's Saquon Barkley. Now, I know we both overestimated a little bit last week in our predictions. I said Pierce was going to get like 140, Saquon was going to get 200. There was some discourse about that. In reality, Saquon got like 160, Pierce got 120. But still, he is the engine that powers his team. He is the king of New Jersey at the moment, and he will be trying to retain his crown against Swift and the Detroit Lions. And I know you don't like Dan Campbell. Him winning 2 games in a row must greatly upset you. It must peeve you. As a Bears fan, as a supporter of Fields, it's gotta hurt to see the Lions offense put up 31 points and humiliate Justin Fields. You can't be enjoying that. I know you're not. I know you're probably going to try and criticize Danny Boy. And look, he's got room to improve. There's a lot of room to improve. Much like that roster has a lot of room to improve. But he still has the locker room. He still has his guys going out there every week and fighting and scrapping for wins. He still beat Aaron Rodgers and made him throw 3 red zone interceptions. So, I will not tolerate Dan Campbell's slander this week. You can give it a rest this week. I don't even want to hear it. This is preemptive. I don't want to hear it work. I'm picking the Giants. The Giants are going to win. The Lions defense stinks. Saquon Barkley is going to run rampant. None of that has changed by Dan Campbell's coaching status. And none of that should affect his legacy in Detroit. He will not get fired after this year. He will get this Lions team 5 to 7 wins. And he will finally shut you up next season when the draft picks begin to manifest.
Well, you have a lot of Dan Campbell slander coming your way, so you gotta listen to it. At this point, Brian Daboll is who you think Dan Campbell is. I mean, take a look at the rosters they inherited from last season. Dan Campbell was the coach last season, but take a look at what they've progressed to this season. Dan Campbell only won 3 games last year. The Giants won 4 games last year. Brian Daboll wasn't even the coach. He had to go through all that turnover, all that offseason turmoil, and they have 7 wins already. They're probably going to end the season with double-digit wins. Dan Campbell, on the other hand, his roster in back-to-back seasons is going to be picking in the top 5. So I am tired of hearing this narrative that Dan Campbell is a good football coach when he won 3 games last season and hasn't made any, if any progress this year. They had to trade away TJ Hawkinson because they were resigned to the fact that they weren't going to make the playoffs. That is not what you call progress. Brian Daboll is the one that has sustained injuries all over his offense. He's been playing with line cooks at receiver. They've suffered several injuries to their defense, and they're still winning football games. The Giants are the better team. They have the 3rd best rushing offense in the NFL. The Lions have one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. But because the Giants win close games, of course the score score will be close, but the Giants, easy win for them.
You realize that the Lions are, in fact, not on pace to pick in the top 5 this year, right? You're aware of that. That's just to be clear.
They're going to.
Not to take... You don't quite get how many bad teams there are out there and how many picks have been swapped by those teams. The Lions are currently going to be picking 11th, which surprises me a good bit. That probably will go up. They're not even supposed to pick in the top 10 if the season ended today. That's kind of shocking to me. But we don't need to get into that. Look. There's one thing that old Dan Campbell didn't inherit. The Giants, they've got a good offensive line. It's slowly been developing. They got a great running back. Their receivers don't really matter if you got Daniel Jones and quarterback. Both these teams got dud at QB. No, what old Dan Campbell inherited was the worst defense ever. Worse than anything the Giants have ever had to put to field. The Giants, on the other hand, have a solid defense. Old Vrabel, or whoever the Bills reject is, who got shipped off to the other part of Jersey. He got a decent defense. He has a somewhat complete team. Dan Campbell's got half a team. And you are half a man if you think you can just sit here and slander him. We both think the Giants are going to win. There's no point arguing any more about that. But I don't like it, man. If the Lions do pull out this upset, we're going to have some words.
I am tired of the delusional Dan Campbell support.
It ain't delusional. It's motivated. You're not a football guy. And speaking of football guys, Russell Wilson is not a football guy either. He reminds me a lot of Tristan, actually, with his stout religious beliefs. But he is going to need those religious beliefs because he doesn't have a prayer of beating the Raiders. I know their coaching situation's horrible. I know it's rough. But at the end of the day, Broncos country is not riding. I'll never say it'll ride because I don't think it is going to ride. And we have 10 minutes left in this conversation. And I want to talk a lot about the Vikings. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this one over to you. This claim that the Raiders will triumph on the road against the Broncos.
Well, Broncos country, let's die at this point because their offense is, I think, one of the most embarrassing things I've ever watched from a football team. Who spends $250 million and gets by far one of the worst scoring offenses I've ever seen? And keep in mind, I had to watch Mike Glennon lead the New York Giants offense last season. That's how bad the Broncos are. But they're also playing the Raiders, who are more disappointing for me because this is what I kind of...
They have the worst fantasy defense in football.
And the Raiders do?
Yes.
Oh. And they're the most disappointing team for me because I expected them to really take the next step, and they should be better with Devontae Adams producing like he's been. Josh Jacobs having probably the best year of his career. They should have more wins than they actually have. And for that reason, I'm picking them to beat the Broncos. I want to believe, and maybe it's because I'm low-key a Raiders fan. I like Derek Carr. I like Devontae Adams. I believe in their offensive talent. I'm hoping for them to win, but I won't be surprised whichever team loses, whichever team wins, because both teams are incredibly disappointing this year.
It's probably going to be a bad game one way or the other. Look, man, I've sat in this chair, this little plastic chair in this room, my Wilt Chamberlain and whiskey art over there, and talked to you about the Minnesota Vikings 9 times this year. And look, every single time I've been flaky. Sometimes I pick with my team's heart. Sometimes I say, oh, we're going to dominate the Packers. And sometimes I'm realistic. I was realistic last week. I did not think we were going to beat the Bills. I know who Kirk Cousins is. Or at least I thought I did. And while Kirk may have had his limitations in the Bills game, he still got Justin Jefferson the ball. He still did just enough to win. Sure, he can't QB sneak. He can't beat a team in prime time. But in that 1 p.m. hour, Kirk's pretty dangerous. And while 4:25 might not be 1 p.m., it's closer to 1 p.m. than it is to prime time. I'm going to start believing. There are 2 games this season which will define my opinion of Kirk Cousins. And if these games go the way I think they're going to go, it's going to be phenomenal. Because I'm finally starting to believe. Those 2 games are going to be the Thanksgiving game against the Patriots, who are currently a playoff team. If Kirk can win that game in primetime, I'm going to start really believing. And it's going to be the first playoff game. Because if Kirk can win the second playoff game of his career as a Viking in primetime, I'm going to really start believing. Those 2 games will define Kirk Cousins this season. Unfortunately, there's 1 game in between now and then. And I hate the Cowboys, so let's go Vikings. For that reason, no analysis, no thoughts, offense, and vibes. Throw it to Jefferson, give it to Cook, get the ball off Kirk Cousins' hands on the 1-yard line.
Well, when it comes, the Cowboys' defense has not looked quite as good recently. Their rushing defense has been horrible. They can't seem to stop a leak. That is the reason they lost last week to the Packers, who ran for over 200 yards. And the Vikings, they have Dalvin Cook. They have Madison, who's a very good guy to go in there when Cook is tired. They have the guys to run on the Cowboys, and they have a solid offensive line with Darisaw taking the next step this season. He'll be able to limit Micah Parsons. So I think the reason the Vikings win this game is because they have more depth and talent on the offensive side of the ball. All the Cowboys really have is CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, Dak. I think all of their tight ends are hurt. So I think the Vikings win this game. They have more depth. Their defense is average. They're pretty much good everywhere. That's why they have 8 wins, is because there's nothing they do horribly, in my opinion, except maybe when Kirk Cousins shows up in 4:30 p.m. games and later. So I want the Vikings to win. I think they're going to win. I'm picking them to win.
Next week's the important game. I don't care if they lose this week. This week would be acceptable as long as Kirk doesn't go like 0 for 32 or something. My hopes and dreams rely on Thanksgiving. Kirk Cousins could ruin my holiday season with a single outing, and we'll have to wait and find out if that really happens. But next week. On to the Bengals taking on the Steelers. And he's back. TJ Watt has returned. And he's going to do exactly what he did the first time to the Bengals offensive line. He is going to mercilessly harass, harangue, and holler at Joe Burrow. He's going to hoist him and hurl him to the ground for at least 3 sacks. And he is going to show you why it is not important in the year 2022 to have an offense. Who cares if you have Kenny Pickett? Who cares if you miss Trubisky? Who cares if you just traded away your second best wide receiver so you can let George Pickens throw more blocks downfield? It doesn't matter. If you got a good defense, you're going to win some games. And the Steelers are going to win some games this week. Joe Burrow and his offensive weapons don't matter to me. I'm unmoved. LSU has no bearing on my prediction, which is why I guarantee a Steelers victory behind a dominant TJ Watt performance.
I just disagree. And it's because I don't think the Steelers are really good at anything. Mike Tomlin's going to have his first season below 500. The Bengals, Joe Mixon has really started to get rolling over the last few games. The Bengals, even though Jamar Chase is out, they still have T. Higgins, they still have Tyler Boyd, they still have Hayden Hurst. They have talent all over the field on their offense, even with their best player out. And Joe, like I said, they really had the run game starting to get going. And their defense is okay. I'd say it's average. And then when you're playing the Steelers offense with Kenny Pickett or Mitch, this is not much you have to worry about. I think the Bengals are going to win this one.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst on pace for a crispy 450 yards. Ooh.
I mean, besides Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews.
The Steelers defense good. Such things do not concern me. On to the Sunday night game. And this should have been one of the games of the year. This one should have been a power matchup between two of the top dogs in the AFC. Instead, as we've talked about every week, the Chargers have been ravaged by injuries. Instead, though, I'm going to look over there at the Kansas City Chiefs. Because sure, their defense isn't good. They're somewhat limited on that side of the ball. But Patrick Mahomes should be the MVP frontrunner at this point. He has been the best quarterback. It's going to be a long time before anyone can actually challenge him for that title. And he is leading a Chiefs offense who lost arguably its best weapon to newer and greater heights. I don't think I'm going to pick against the Chiefs at all for the remainder of the season. They're that good. I think they might win out, and that will certainly be put on display against the Chargers. Sure, the Chargers are a fine team. They're probably going to sneak into the playoffs like a 7 seed. Big old disappointment. Doesn't matter to me. The Chiefs offense is clicking. Patrick Mahomes is clicking. Kelce is clicking. And it will not be stopped by a lowly LA team.
The Chiefs' offense is clicking, and they just got Kadarius Toney, who won 6 touches last week, was absolutely electric. Juju in the second half of the season has been very good, although he is dealing with an injury right now, so he may not come back against the Chargers. But everything seems to be working for Mahomes this season. They are the most complete and most competent team in the NFL. They're the offense I believe in the most, and the running backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon have really come on, as Clyde has kind of fallen to the back of the rotation. And when you're playing the Chargers, who are playing with their 5th and 6th offensive weapons, it's going to be an easy victory. Even if, let's say, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams came back this week, they really haven't been able to build any momentum, any cohesion, and anything solid on the offensive side of the ball. When the Chiefs have gone above and beyond everyone in those categories. So it should be an easy win for the Chiefs.
Indeed, it should. On to the Monday night game. And there's really not much which needs to be said about this. The 49ers are revitalized with Christian McCaffrey. Their offense looks phenomenal. It's truly an ode to offensive excellence. Their running game is balanced. Their passing game is slowly looking functional again with Debo and Kittle. And their defense is, of course, one of the best in football. That's how the 49ers do things these days. On the other sideline, you've got Kyler Murray, who hasn't won a game since the new Call of Duty.
He may not even play.
You've got DeAndre Hopkins, who is frustrated with the quarterback situation. And you've got an incompetent Cliff Kingsbury, who should go back to coach Texas Tech, and who only has his job because of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. This game is a clear 49ers victory. The Niners will win this game, regain control of the NFC West, and punch their ticket for yet another deep playoff run.
Well, Marquise Brown may be back this week, and I think the Cardinals offense has the potential to be very exciting with him and DeAndre Hopkins playing alongside each other, but Kyler Murray's still dealing with that hamstring injury, and the 49ers, outside of their quarterback, are the most talented roster in the NFL. Brandon Ayuk, Debo, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, the defense, the entire depth chart is phenomenal. So the 49ers are very good, basically everywhere. Cardinals, not so much. Should be an easy win for the 49ers, unless Jimmy Tragic shows up.
Jimmy Tragic, that's a new one. That feels like a failed word of the day type one. Anyway, that has been our Week 11 predictions. Let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow us on MySpace, Tinder, Instagram, our Linktree. What else? Ooh, I got a Pandora playlist you guys should listen to. Anyway, I will see you folks later.